So it's been a few days, and I tried a few things, and I made some progress, but we're still not where we need to be. Let's talk about it a little bit.
I started looking for shops in my area that might have vintage PC parts, and I stumbled upon FreeGeek's website. It turns out they were having a pop-up shop the next day, and I decided to bike down there to see what they had. This is my first time shopping with them, and I know they had a bunch of cool stuff, but I was not expecting quite the quantity of cool stuff, including essentially the exact machine that I'm trying to resurrect. Although sadly this one is in much worse shape and has no RAM in it. And speaking of no RAM, they had no PC100 or PC133 memory at all. Nothing older than DDR1 that I found. Although it wasn't all for nothing, I ended up finding this amazing 75-inch Sony TV that was $9,000 when it was new less than 10 years ago, and talked my friend into buying it. I had to wait around a bit for him to show up with his Outback, but we loaded it up, took it home, and it works perfectly. It's basically brand new, so that was a win. Unfortunately, after we caught it on camera the last time, I could not get this machine to boot, or even show a boot drive again. So I need some other way of confirming that there's actually still contents on those drives, or to see if this machine is even capable of booting. I decided the easiest, low-effort way of doing this would be to try to write an ISO file to your USB drive and boot it like a modern machine, which surprisingly this can do, but you have to enter some commands in open firmware to get there. Booting the open firmware, we need to do the very awkward key combination O, F, Option, Command, and Power. Now that we're in, we can release the keys and enter this command I found online that should let us boot up directly off of the USB drive. There are a few variants of this, so we might need to try a couple different ones. After entering the commands, it begins booting OS 10.4, looking pretty promising at first. Like OS 10.3, 10.4 requires more than 128 megs of RAM, but all I really need is just to get into the installer where I can then use disk utility to see if my two hard drives actually show up. But in order to do that, it has to load parts of the OS into RAM, meaning creating a RAM disk, meaning that some of that precious 64 megabytes is going to be used by an entire operating system, not to mention the fact that it needs to actually use that memory for computery things as well. However, here we go, landing on the macOS 10 installer, and I tried this once before and it didn't get this far, so I'm pretty excited right now. If all goes well, I should be able to open disk utility and see if the drives are recognized. This is kind of a make it or break it for the whole operation. There they are, my two 17.1 gigabyte drives, 18 gigabytes unformatted, showing up like they're supposed to be. But this one is showing no name for this partition, and this one is showing only 27.9 megabytes used. I'm wondering if I cleared these drives. That would be pretty funny after all this. Let's see if I can repair this disk and get it to say main like it's supposed to. Unfortunately, after a few attempts, the system does not want to repair the drive. Now, this is interesting because we saw the system boot to a drive called main before. I'm wondering if this drive failed after that. That's really more the behavior I would expect. Usually drives that have been sitting for a while either don't spin up or they spin up and give their kind of last hurrah. Well, there's really only one thing left to do. If there is no data on this drive named secondary, I should be able to just install macOS 10 on here without any worry of losing anything.
It's literally counting up. I don't want to. Oh no!
Well, it's the next day, and here we are, back on the Identify Your Keyboard screen, which is a great sign because that means it actually successfully installed to the hard drive.
Disk what?
This machine has a 450 MHz processor and 256 megabytes of RAM, which is more than I thought it had, and this OS runs smooth and looks great, even to this day. Although the drive seems to have failed, I'm not actually sure that I lost anything. I do have old backups from this machine, but I spent years thinking that I never actually made a complete backup and wiped these drives, but it looks like I did, and the stuff that I thought was on here may never have actually been on here in the first place, but it might be somewhere else. This is a mini DV camcorder, and it was a video from this camcorder that I was hoping was still on this computer, because a lot of it has gone missing over the years. But since those drives are empty, I only have one other place to look, and that's on the tapes themselves, which hopefully still have the video on them. Unfortunately, this camcorder doesn't work, so I was really hoping to avoid buying another, but I guess I'm going to have to because I got to download these tapes somehow, and that's the computer I'm going to use to do it because modern machines don't have FireWire. So, I guess this is turning into a three-parter, because now I'm going to hit up eBay, see if I can find a cheap camera, and hopefully something will come out of this. So, until next time.